All right, folks, get the popcorn out. The MAGA meltdown is here, as predicted. So we have some developments on the Tulsi Gabbard front here. So DD Geopolitics, great channel, great Twitter handle. Check them out, of course. In March, Tulsi Gabbard, director of national intelligence, testified that Iran wasn't building a nuclear weapon. Today, Trump replied, "I don't care what she said. I think they were very close to having one." So, yes, just to refresh your memory, I know we covered this in the last show, but this is brief. So here's Tulsi Gabbard just about 90 days ago.
The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003. The IC continues to monitor closely if Tehran decides to reauthorize its nuclear weapons program.
All right. So no plans to develop a nuclear weapon as of March. And here's once again Donald Trump responding to some pushback he's getting given that recent evaluation by his own DNI.
Don't believe Iran should be able to have a nuclear weapon. But how close do you personally think that they were to getting one? Because Tulsi Gabbard testified in March that the intelligence community said Iran wasn't building a nuclear weapon.
I don't care what she said. I think they were very close to having
it. I don't care what she said.
The community said Iran wasn't building a nuclear weapon.
I don't care what she said. I think they were very close to having
it. Nothing is good. Man, this guy must... I got to say, there's got to be great team building exercises within the Trump organization. That's how you do team building there. That's how a CEO or an executive or a manager really inspires confidence in his team. Is they make an assessment and you just say, yeah, I don't care what she said. They have video, folks. They have video, and so they're close to getting a nuclear weapon. That's it. Does not matter what she said.
I told Bobby, give that bitch a Dalmatian and shut her the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's funny because, a lot of people were really fighting hard to make sure that she got that appointment. She thought it was really, really important that she and not somebody else, not anybody else get that spot. And we sat on the sidelines thinking, why would you go this hard for Tulsi Gabbard? What difference does it make to us whether she's the DNI or not? Well, you have to understand, she's going to keep us out of situations like this.
Oh, yeah.
Well, even when she does, even when she makes that assessment, guess what? Israel wants a war. The line is, who cares what she said? Who cares what Tulsi Gabbard said? So CNN had a write-up here on this rift between Israeli intelligence and American intelligence, so to speak. Israel says Iran was racing toward a nuclear weapon. U.S. intel says it was years away. When Israel launched its series of strikes against Iran last week, it also issued a number of dire warnings about the country's nuclear program, suggesting Iran was fast approaching a point of no return in its quest to obtain nuclear weapons, and that the strikes were necessary to preempt that outcome. But U.S. intelligence assessments had reached a different conclusion. Not only was Iran not actively pursuing a nuclear weapon, it was also up to 3 years away from being able to produce and deliver one to a target of its choosing, according to 4 people familiar with the assessment. So these people said not only are they not pursuing it, would they pursue it, it would be years away from actionable. Another senior U.S. official told CNN that Iran is about as close as you can get before building a nuclear weapon. If Iran wanted one, they have all the things they need. Now, after days of Israeli airstrikes, U.S. intelligence officials believe that so far Israel may have set back Iran's nuclear program by only a matter of months, according to one of those people, a U.S. official. Even as Israel has done significant damage to Iran's facility at Natanz, which houses centrifuges necessary to enrich uranium, a second heavily fortified enrichment site at Fordo has remained effectively untouched. U.S. military and intelligence officials have long said that the U.S. and Israel often differ on how to interpret information on Iran's nuclear program, although they closely share it. Yes, I wonder why that is. Trump's director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, testified in March that the U.S. intelligence community continues to assess Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khomeini has not authorized a nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003. Once again, just to refresh,
the IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khomeini has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003.
Okay. He has not authorized the continuation of that program suspended in 2003. And then, of course, Trump responds, as we've seen a couple times already in this segment, I don't care what she said. I said they are developing a nuclear weapon. So I'm sure Tulsi Gabbard, since she was vouched for by so many wonderful people, is going to put her foot down here and say, no, Mr. President, I stand by my assessments. And if you don't care what I have to say about these things, then there's really no point in me doing this job, which means I am going to resign in protest since you are now trying to, at the very least, manipulate my work into justifying a war with Iran. I'm sure Tulsi Gabbard, moral person that she is, said exactly that, right? Let's see. Gabbard insisted today, that there was no daylight between Trump's assessment and her own prior characterization that Iran was not building a nuclear weapon. President Trump was saying the same thing that I said in my annual threat assessment back in March, Gabbard told reporters as she arrived on Capitol Hill Tuesday for an appearance before the Senate Appropriations Committee. Quite a shocking proclamation. So shocking, it required the CNN breaking news music and Chiron.
Breaking news.
And we begin with breaking news. The Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, is now speaking out, saying she and President Trump are on the same page on whether Iran's nuclear capability, where it's concerned right now. This comes after these comments from the president earlier this morning. Listen to this.
How close do you personally think that they were to getting one? Because Tulsi Gabbard testified in March that the intelligence community said Iran wasn't building a nuclear weapon.
I don't care what she said. I think they were very close to having one.
Okay. Well, you be the judge. So you answered Misty's question there. Misty had a good question. Hey, Tulsi, you've just been thrown under the bus. Are you going to do the right thing and stand against this insanity, or will you do what you've been doing and roll over to maintain proximity to power and your position? Well, you got your answer. Got your answer, didn't you? So, yep, Khaleesi tweets out, just in, Tulsi Gabbard confirms she and President Trump are on the same page when it comes to Iran's nuclear timeline. President Trump was saying the same thing that I said in my annual threat assessment back in March. Unfortunately, too many people in the media don't care to actually read what I said. We just heard what you said. Is she referring to the second half of that statement where she says we'll continue to monitor things? Let's see.
The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khomeini has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003.
Okay, so that's the first part of it. Now let's hear. Maybe she's referring to this part.
The IC continues to monitor closely if Tehran decides to reauthorize its nuclear weapons program.
Maybe that's what she was referring to. So the part where she said, by the way, we reserve the right to make up any bullshit we want should we want to start a war with Iran. So I'm going to say this next part. We'll keep monitoring the situation so that if between now and whenever the war breaks out, Donald Trump says they are developing a nuclear weapon, I can go back and say, well, we said we were monitoring it. Hey, what could have happened to provoke Iran into accelerating a nuclear program between when I said this and when a war breaks out? Well, that seems to be the purpose of that statement, if that is what she was referring to. We don't know what she was referring to, but I have another statement of Tulsi Gabbard that I think you'll be interested to hear. Mehdi Hassan found this, good find, and said retweeted without comment. Here is a campaign ad.
That's a comment.
Oh, you retweeted without comment?
That's a comment.
Yeah, well, that is a comment. Yes, in its own way. But this is a campaign ad from one Tulsi Gabbard during her 2020 presidential campaign about war with Iran under Donald Trump.
President Trump says that he doesn't want war with Iran, but that's exactly what he wants.
because that's exactly what Saudi Arabia, Netanyahu, Al-Qaeda, Bolton, Haley, and other neocons and neolibs want. That's what he puts first, not America.
Wow. Wow. You go from that to saying they don't want a nuclear weapon to saying just a few months after that we're on the same page, huh? So Tom Brannigan, why wasn't Tulsi included with the rest of Trump's foreign policy staff over the weekend at Camp David? I can take a guess. Yeah, it must have been because she would have set them straight if she were included.
She had back-to-back OnlyFans appointments.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I'm sure if she were there, she would have set them straight and she would have gotten things under control.
Yeah. That's
so
what
Scott
she does.
Scott Ritter says, Donald Trump just said he doesn't care what Tulsi Gabbard said regarding Iran's nuclear capabilities and intent when she recently briefed Congress. Donald Trump is 100% controlled by the Zionists.
I thought he was a
Tulsi
revolutionary.
Gabbard, yeah, I thought he was a revolutionary.
He's not a revolutionary anymore?
I guess not.
He's a revolutionary.
Tulsi Gabbard needs to resign and speak out against this war. Yes, correct about that. She did her duty and told the truth. Now she needs to complete her responsibility to the American people by speaking out against the war with Iran and the role being played by Israel in selling this war to the president. Well, as we know, that did not happen. That did not happen. Once again, Tulsi caves immediately, within hours of Donald Trump just throwing her under the bus, trashing her, dismissing her findings. She said, actually, he is validating what I said, not refuting it, and you just weren't paying very close focus to what I was actually saying, even though we've all seen the tape.
Yeah.
Pretty plain as day on video. So I made a last-minute meme here. Told you Tulsi had no principles. Yes, that's doing quite well. Yes,
yeah.
This is pretty obvious. I mean, she is such an obvious, low-life, amoral, lying sack of garbage. The fact that she would even want the job under Donald Trump is proof of that, given the things she was saying about him vis-a-vis Iran.
Says that he doesn't want war with Iran, but that's exactly what he wants.
This very issue. That's exactly what he wants. Okay, so the fact that you're even really interested in the job shows that you are compromised. And everything else kind of flows logically from there.
Yeah, we did a whole half-hour breakdown on what a dirty, lying piece of shit Tulsi Gabbard is. And I got to tell you, some things that we report on takes a lot of work. That didn't take a lot of work. It's really not hard to find Tulsi saying one thing here, one thing there. And what's been really amazing is a lot of the people who have been backing Tulsi are the people who are most suspicious of deep state agents. And she was literally the commander of a PSYOPs battalion in Southeast Asia. Yep. She is literally a deep state PSYOP that you can find saying one thing, one press conference, something completely different the next press conference, and that didn't strike anybody as suspicious. That seemed like a trustworthy person to you, somebody who's been literally on every side of every issue. And even now, we did the MAGA versus MAGA thing, and we opened it up with Tulsi. Even now, you have these little fuck boys coming. Oh, why are you saying things about Tulsi? It's better to have her on the inside. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. I do not want to hear that going forward from this. What, you really think she's there fighting from the inside to do? What do you think she's accomplishing there? She hasn't got a principle in her body. I think at this point, honestly, it's so blatant. It's beyond careerism. I think she's an op. I think she works for deep state actors, and I think they tell her what to do. I don't even think she's acting independently. And I know if you had somebody in a Democrat cabinet with this fact pattern, there's not one person who's still trying to wave around the lighter for Tulsi who would not be saying, op! It's an op!
Yeah. Well, I also think people have to understand. I think a lot of people do understand. And, this is hot off the press. I really want to see what the reactions are to this as the day continues. But there is a finality to this moment. Like, this is very much a make or break, shit or get off the pot moment. Like, if you were going to take a stand for peace and against the military industrial complex, you would do so right now. You would come out and you would say, no, Mr. President, I was very clear in my assessment that they are not developing a nuclear weapon and that they have no plans to. And if you're going to ignore my assessments like that, then there's no point in me being here. I'm going to resign.
Of course.
That's
Right.
what you would do if you had
Right.
any integrity whatsoever.
You're either
And
a careerist or an op or some of both.
Or some of both. It really doesn't matter. What you're not is a bulwark against the military industrial complex. So that's clearly what you're not. If you were, you would say something right now other than gaslighting everybody who saw plain as day 3 months ago. We're not talking 3 years ago. We're talking a few months ago. After you got the saying they are not on track to have a nuclear weapon. And you just let them twist your words like that, let them lie and then gaslight in this moment when we're in day 5 of violent exchanges between Iran and Israel, when we are closer than ever to World War III. At this moment, you choose to just bullshit and say, no, that's not what I said. You didn't read my whole quote. We're on the same page. That's bullshit. That is absolute chicken shit. And like I said earlier, there's no excuses at this point. This is both inexcusable and unforgivable at this point. Anybody who's been politically awake for the past 20 years has been fearing this more than anything else. This has been the thing that everyone was afraid of for the entire 21st century.
The war with Iran.
The war with Iran.
Yep.
So now we're here. And if you don't have anything to do except gaslight for the guy who's lying us into it, then you're fucking worthless. You're worthless.
Yeah,
Tulsi Gabbard is worthless. That is why I had no opinion on her confirmation. I had no opinion on her confirmation. Is she worse than whatever stooge he could have picked? No, but she's not better. She's one of them.
Better.
She is one of them. Yeah, that's it.
And, for the soy boy cucks in our audience, we're sorry to be the ones to tell you this. We know this is rough news for you, but, the only way to stop being a soy boy cock for Tulsi Gabbard is to acknowledge that you have a problem.
Right.
You have a problem. You're a cock for Tulsi. Stop.
That's right.
We saw you guys out there at our confirmation. You had those signs, cucks for Tulsi.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
You got to put that sign away now, and you got to put on your big boy pants.
That's
Time to move on.
Time to move on. Viren Sharma, thanks for the 1999. Appreciate that. Always love the show and its careful curation of topics. I know a lot of hard work and effort goes into each episode.
Please clap.